Welcome back, my beautiful humans. I'm so glad you joined me today. Another hard hitter. Not even gonna lie, we're just starting right off. Today on If I Die Tomorrow, we are actually going to bring our conversation about our mortality into one of the most vital areas of our lives, our intimate relationships. Buckle up, let's be honest, and let's dive right into it. When we think about if I die tomorrow, our loved ones often come to mind. It's usually one of the first thoughts we have. Our partners, spouses, closest friends. These are the people with whom we share our deepest selves with. Our vulnerabilities and our most profound connections. But how does the awareness of our finite time impact these relationships? Does it push us closer? Or can it bring up difficult questions about boundaries, unmet needs, and the legacy of our love? I think it could do all of it. I mean, depending on the day of the week, the mood of the other person in our lives. I mean, we're human. We all have the full range of emotions, which is important. And we need to be respectful that we're all not going to be happy-go-lucky every single day, and everything doesn't just work out as we had hoped in our head. Saying all of that, mortality as a catalyst for a deeper connection is a driving force, really. I mean, let's start with the positive. How can, if the question, if I die tomorrow mindset, actually deepen our intimate relationships? It could make us more intentional about the time we spend together. It would force us to be less distracted, as we've had in previous conversations. Be present. Also, if we have that mindset, it is going to force us to re-examine on if we're truly seeing and hearing our partner. It is so easy for us to interject tone and expression, especially when we're having a bad day. And if we can do that, so can they. And that's how some of the problems arise, the miscommunication, the misinterpretation, not listening to hear, but listening to respond. All of those things can come to play. So asking ourselves that, it can cause us to be a little bit more intentional, a little more forgiving, and a whole lot more honest. The next thing that it might actually help us do is express our love and appreciation. I have said it before. I would love for it to be normalized, for us to feel more comfortable expressing our appreciation for the people in our lives without them thinking that something is wrong. Right there tells me something is wrong. If we cannot be honest and open and expressing our appreciation for the people in our life, that we are truly grateful they are with us, then we do have a problem, not just as a person, but as a society as a whole. And we really should stop and fix that. Using the mindset of if I die tomorrow, it could break down barriers to expressing affection, gratitude, and forgiveness. Yeah, the F word. The words I love you or I'm sorry take on a new sense of urgency when time feels precious. And time is precious. When you look at your relationships, take into consideration the cost. There is a cost for every relationship we have. Our time, our emotions, those are all cost. It also reminds us about being vulnerable and authentic. When we know our time is very limited and short, and we use that as a compass or a guide, it will actually, or it should actually, encourage us to shed the masks, share our true selves, and confront unspoken issues. We should be more open to sharing our fears, hopes, and dreams instead of holding them back from our partner. The right person will not make you feel foolish for sharing your hopes and dreams or your vulnerabilities. They won't use them against you. They will build you and they will catch you. And I will tell you right now, one of the biggest mistakes that we all make going into an intimate relationship is, for some reason, we believe as human beings going into an intimate relationship that we are there to fix someone. No, we're not. It is not our job to fix anyone. Our job in a relationship like that is to bring out the absolute best in them. Because if you believe you need to change someone, you're not with the right person, because you are already inherently saying there is something wrong with them. And there's nothing wrong with any of us. I mean, we all have our quirks and our issues. But being with the right person at the right time in your life, you don't need to change them. And you need to be okay with that. When you open up and you share your true self with them, your most intimate thoughts, feelings, concerns, it will inspire and create a more meaningful relationship together. It will help you build a shared vision for the future. It will help you in discussing the legacy that you want to leave behind with each other. Not just with the world, but with each other. We've discussed legacy. And legacy as a whole is a wonderful thought. And I would not change anything that I said about that in our episode on legacy. But if you break it down into a smaller chunk, you're leaving a legacy with every single person you touch. And your intimate relationships feel it the most. It will also help you as a couple realize that there are things that each of you bring to the table, and you need to value that. They often say that opposites attract, And it's true on a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that are similar. And you should acknowledge those and applaud those. In my past, again, I have experienced a lot of things. And knowing my husband was there made the difference of me healing and making it or not. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. My husband and I, we don't always see eye to eye on things. I would be worried if we did. He is fiercely protective and loving and loyal. And even if he doesn't like me, because again, I'm not perfect and I do things too. And sometimes, I say the wrong thing or I do the wrong thing. And sometimes he does too. And it's getting past that because we are together. But even on the worst days, because again, you're not always going to be in love. You are going to love and be, it's not always going to be the butterflies. It's not always going to be the push you up against the wall kind of thing, like when you're in your honeymoon phase. But no matter what it is or what happened in that day, I know my husband will always be there for me. He will protect me and he will take care of me in the best way that he can, and I will do the same for him every time. And facing some of the most difficult things that we face together, surgeries, accidents, health complications, it truly has brought us closer together because I don't ever want him to think that I didn't love and appreciate him. And so I try to tell him, and he does the same for me. Because if I die tomorrow, I want him to know that I was very lucky. And I think that's what you need to share with your partners, is that no matter how much they get on your nerves, or how sometimes you have the stupidest fights or bicker over the stupidest things, in the end, at the very end, you love them and you should tell them. And if they're curious as to why you're saying what you're saying, it is a reminder and a cue to you that maybe you're not saying it enough or expressing it enough, so that they're not waiting for what else. Saying all of that, we need to bring in a very real conversation topic of boundaries in this relationship. And here's where it gets a little bit more complex. It's equally important, but boundaries. The if I die tomorrow question isn't just about what we want to do. It's also about what we need to protect ourselves and what we won't tolerate. Strong boundaries can actually lead to healthier, more authentic, and intimate relationships, especially when we're mindful of our limited time. I'm okay with the thought of dying. I mean, it the thought of dying actually really doesn't bother me. It's the thought of leaving my loved ones that bothers me, because I'm so worried that they're not going to know how much they truly meant to me. But I also know that I have to have boundaries. And some of my boundaries need to come from protecting my energy and my well-being, because again, there is a cost for your relationship. And the people that say relationships are 50-50, they're liars. A relationship is not 50-50. You each need to bring 100 to the table. But there are days that your partner doesn't have 100. You need to carry them. Be open and honest and vulnerable enough to say to your partner, man, it was bad today. I got 50. And your partner knows that they need to bring an additional 50. And you need to be mindful that you're not doing it to them all the time. It cannot be just one person carrying the entire relationship. Same goes if they bring it to you and say, hey, I got 20%. Mentally, emotionally, I got 20. And I will give you all 20 of it. But I can't give you any more. And you have to be okay with that. You have to accept that, and you have to be willing to step up. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And you are spending your precious energy in ways that need to feel like they were well given. You also need to realize that you don't have to say yes to everything. And sometimes you need to ask yourself in these relationships if you're saying yes because you feel obligated to say yes. It's okay to say no. You need to also honor your individual needs. An intimate relationship is a partnership of two whole individuals. Boundaries ensure that each person's unique needs, values, and space are respected. If you die tomorrow, have you lived a life true to yourself within the relationship? You also need to be mindful that your boundaries, yes, you should have hard and fast. I will not tolerate that. But you also need to be able to bend in some, especially when you realize you're having a bad day. By being open, honest, and vulnerable with your partner, you used the mindset of if I die tomorrow, you can avoid resentment and regret. Ugh, the 2 R's. We don't like the 2 R's. And I really don't like the word regret. I'm not a big fan of it. I think there isn't really I haven't found another good word for it, but I really don't regret things in my life. Just because I wish I had chosen a different way, or things would have played out differently, doesn't mean I regret it, because I still learned something from it. Unspoken expectations or consistently crossed boundaries breed resentment. Addressing them now with the if I die tomorrow lens can prevent profound regret about unaddressed issues. This applies to time, emotional labor, and even shared activities. It's about consciously choosing where to invest your finite resources. Now, this is going to be a little bit hard. How do you start a conversation about boundaries in a way that could strengthen rather than threaten a relationship? Yeah, I know. Leave it to me. Just keep bringing it, don't I? One, when you're with the right person, having that conversation isn't as scary as you make it. And again, I think as human beings with a range of emotion, sometimes I think we put the fear there that necessarily isn't there. I mean, and it unfortunately is not fair to our partners because we're not giving them credit or the ability to have their own resolve and emotion about a conversation. If we're going to ask, if I die tomorrow, how can we practically apply that to improve our intimate relationships and establish healthy boundaries? Well, here's some suggestions. Sit down with your partner or reflect privately first if you'd like to gather your thoughts and ask, if I were to die tomorrow, what unspoken words or unresolved issues in our relationship would I regret the most? If you do this as a self-reflection before breaching the subject with your intimate partner or your partner or the people that mean the most to you in this world, really be honest with yourself. Stop trying to change what comes across when you first ask that question. Then once you have your answer, make sure that you include them in what you found, or actually give them the same opportunity to self-reflect first prior to having the conversation. Nothing like giving somebody a pop quiz when you got to practice and they didn't. Let's be fair here. Next, define your non-negotiables. It's easy when you start a relationship, you're in the honeymoon phase. Everything is peaches and coming up rosy and you're happy and nothing really is bothering you. But this is when you need to have the conversation the most. It's also about being honest with yourself and knowing yourself. And you should really know that before you get into a relationship. It's hard to love someone else when you can't really love yourself, or you don't know why you love yourself, or you don't love yourself. That's another one. I mean, we all judge ourselves so harshly. I've discussed that before. But knowing who you are gives that option of letting somebody else know who you are. And that's what you need in a intimate relationship. You need to know what your core values are, what your needs are, what your personal space requirements are, and what your expectations are. Remember, nobody's a mind reader. It's not fair to ask your partner to be a mind reader. Be open, be honest, have the conversation. It's okay. Once you are able to define your core values, your needs, your space requirements, you can then clearly convey those with love and respect. Practice conscientious appreciation. Don't wait for a crisis. Make it a daily practice to verbally express your love, appreciation, and gratitude for your partner. Notice the small things. They always start your car, or they take on a majority of a certain chore or task. Call that out. Let them know you see that. You see them and that you're grateful for it. Also, remember, not everyone grew up in a way that they could easily express gratitude. Don't ding your partner for not always noticing the small things. Men and women notice different things. It doesn't make it any less or any more valuable or invaluable. Schedule your relationship check-ins. Regularly dedicate time to talk about your relationship's health, what's working, what needs adjusting, and how you both are feeling. One of my previous roles in this life was working for an attorney. And I will tell you, it was amazing to me how many people were kind of blindsided by a divorce. One thinks that everything is absolutely fine, and the other one is completely miserable. How can two people be in the same relationship and one is completely miserable and the other one is fine? Because they didn't communicate, at least open and honestly. And when one of you is telling the other how you feel, as hard as it seems, don't take it as a personal attack. Take it as this is how they feel, and make adjustments from there. By doing these things, you're also proactively addressing boundary issues. And hey, if we all know where we stand and what line not to cross, makes things a whole lot easier. So quit hiding stuff, okay? Thanks. Next one is embrace forgiveness. Not just for your partner, but for yourself. Again, I am not perfect. And I have done things and I have said things that are absolutely immature and crappy and undeserving to my husband and also to other people in my life. And so I needed to forgive myself, but first I needed to apologize to them and mean it with followed up actions to show that I really meant it. And you can't keep you can't keep score. Okay? This is not a game. And quit bringing up mistakes of the past. You wouldn't like it, so don't do it to them. Remember, look at it from your own, you look at it from your own lens, but also look at it from their lens too. Again, I wouldn't want every mistake I've ever made thrown in my face every single time I got into an argument. That's just rude. So please don't do that. As you remember, holding on to grudges or past hurts steals precious present moments. If you die tomorrow, do you want to carry that burden? Forgiveness is a gift to yourself and your relationship. Doing all of these things could put you in the position of living with love and integrity. And don't we all want that? I mean, I do. If I die tomorrow lens, when it's applied to an intimate relationship, isn't about creating panic. It's about inspiring. It's about inspiring courage, clarity, and a deeper love and connection. It encourages us to live with integrity within our partnerships, honoring both our shared connection and our individual selves. And what a gift that is. By being more intentional with our love and more courageous with our boundaries, we ensure, you ensure, that your relationship is vibrant, authentic, and truly fulfilling right up until your very last breath. I want to thank you for joining me on this deeply personal exploration of intimate relationships and boundaries on If I Die Tomorrow. I hope you join me next time as we delve into actually peace. We're going to talk about peace and finding peace among the question of if I die tomorrow. And I think that's an important piece of acceptance for this question. I'm looking forward to you joining me. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you to subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Leave me a comment. I'd love to see what you have to say about all of this. I would also like you to know that there is actually a website, www.heycoleypress.net. I will have that in the description below. You can catch all of the podcasts, all of the shorts that are put out on social media, as well as find merchandise that has been created, especially for If I Die Tomorrow. And as we wrap this up, be kind, be grateful, stay humble.